Hello friends, welcome to my channel Go Digit. As you know that from the past few weeks we are learning the concept of file management in the Business Central SaaS version, right? And we have already made some of the videos, some bit of around 4 videos which you can always see from my channel section, and you could learn the ways of uploading and exporting the files from your Business Center SaaS version. And because with the online version, we do not have an access of local file system, so there could be different ways which we can use to play with the files. Okay, so in the last video only, we have understood the concept of storage accounts in the Microsoft Azure portal. Okay, how we can create a storage account, and then inside the storage account, how can we create a container first and then put the whatever files we want to put here. Uh, that is the concept of the storage account in the Azure portal. Okay, so last week, as you can see in this actions, we created the Azure container into the Azure portal from the Business Central. We list out the Azure containers and then we delete the Azure containers also. Okay, so now in today's video, we will learn how to put the files into the container which you created into the Azure portal. Okay, so let's start with this. And before I start, I request you to please subscribe to my channel if you do not subscribe, if you have not subscribed it yet, because here in our channel we understand the technical part as well as the functional part of the Business Central. Okay, so let's begin with that. Here, this is our code unit which we have created last week to play with the Azure portal. Now, here only I'll copy one of the procedure which we use to create the container, and then I place it here to create a new function, and let's name it because I want to put the files into my newly created Azure container. So I will name it something like put into Azure container. Okay, now uh, we have to create some variables through which I can use the certain functionality which is available in the Business Central to put the files into the storage account. So we have one uh, code unit which is named as ABS Blob client. Okay, so as we have seen last week that we have one code unit called container client. This code unit helps us in creating the containers in the storage account, deleting the containers, list out the containers like that. But with the ABS Blob client, this actually helps us to play with the files which are available in your local file system and to put all those files into your container, to list out the files into your container and to delete the files into your container. Not only the files, but the text, everything. Okay, so because this function we are creating to put the files into the container, so what I can do is that I should delete these two lines because creating the container we have already done in the earlier procedures. So let's say we list out the container name, what is our container name, what is our storage account, what is our shared key for the authorization purposes. Okay, so let's begin now using your newly added variable. So we have this variable called ABS blob, and here you will find plenty of functions. Each function is having a different use based on your requirement. You should use it. But now in today's video, we will understand the most important functions. You could say the three functions which we will use. So the first function is obviously initialize. That first of all, I have to initialize my blob. So let's see what parameter it takes. It takes the storage account information, it takes your container name information, and of course it takes the authorization. So we already have these variables available and the information there, so I can directly use it. Okay, if you do not know, like if you're watching it for the first time, you might be wondering that what is the use of this variable, what is it? So I suggest you to please watch my last week video where we have learned about how and why we created these variables. Okay, so now I'll put the container name and then the authorization. Okay, now my function is completed. My function definition is completed. So I have initializes the blob. Let's write another line, ABS blob. Now, because I want to put the files into my container, so we have one function here called put blob block blob UI. Okay, it may sound weird to you, but it suggests that it will provide you a kind of user interface through which you can search the files from your local file system and put the file into your container. Okay, so let's see whether it takes any parameter or not. Although it's a overloaded function, but in the first definition, it does not take any parameter. But yes, of course, it returns something as the response. And as you can see the definition, it uploads a file as a blob. So uh, let me pass something like this response. Okay, that's it. Now, if the response is successful, then I can print the message that files are successfully uploaded in container. Else, uh, I can print the error, else in filling the container, and filling the container, and of course the error information. Okay, so that's it. This is the only definition which we have to write to put the files into your container. Okay, let's go ahead and create another function where uh, let's say you want to download the file which is available into your Azure container. You want to download that file from the Azure container to your local file system. So how you will do that? Let's write the second function and name it find and fetch, right? So because we have a Azure container which can have plenty number of files, okay, and thus you must have to find your dedicated file, which first you find the file and then you will fetch the file. Okay, so now what we can do is that of course we have to initialize our blob first. Then we have one function in the blob code unit itself, abs blob dot list blobs. Okay, this means that it will list out every sort of data which is available in your container. And now if you see the parameters it takes one parameter called uh, container content, which is actually a parameterized uh, parameter, pass it as a reference, and it's a record variable called abs container content. So basically this record variable, what it does is that system will find the blobs, all the files into your container and put the information of those files into this table. Okay, this is a temporary table. It will only hold the records at a runtime only. Okay, so it will find the files, this function, and put all the information into this container. Okay, so what I can do is that let me create one variable abs content container. So record abs container content. Okay, and pass this abs content container. So what this function does that it will list out, it will find the files into your container and place all the files one by one into this table. Okay, now let's say you have two files available in your container and you want to download only the first file. Okay, so what I can do is that now, because it's a record variable, so I can use the functions like find first, find set, find last, and something like this. And because here in my case I want to find the first record and download that file only, so I can type the same. And just for references purposes, that what file name it will find, okay, I can print the name of the file also here, that name, full name and something like that. So I can use this field. So this will suggest the name of the file which it will gonna download. Okay, so now second step is that I want to get that file. So we have one function called abs blob, that get blob as file. Okay, and it takes the blob name, and I know the blob name is available in my table. So I use this table and the name. All right. And of course, I will pass it the response variable just like that, so that I can print the messages that file is successfully downloaded from container. Error in downloading file from container. Okay. So I hope you now understand the concept of this procedure, that first we are finding the records. Okay, we are finding the records and then putting all the records into the table. Then we find the first file information from this table and fetching that file from the Azure container, okay, into my local file system. Okay, now let's say uh, I want to delete the file once once I downloaded that file. Okay, so what we can do is that here only I can type abs blob dot delete blob. Okay, and here I can pass the name which I want to delete from my container. All right, so again I could pass the same variable definition and copy this code. Files are successfully deleted from container. Error in deleting the file. Okay, so first we list out all the files which are available in your container and insert those information into this table. Then we find the first record from that table and downloading that first file from the container. Once we downloaded the file successfully into our local file system, we are now telling the system to delete that file from my Azure container. Okay, so these are the things which we are doing into these two functions. Let's call these functions into our table, uh, into uh, into a page so that we can run it. Let me add two procedures. First is put container, put into container, put Azure container, and let's uh, use our function which is put into Azure container, right? Now the second one is find, fetch, and delete, right? Delete blob, I should say. So fetch blob Azure container. Okay, so this could be something, the caption which we can use here. And of course, I need to define my function here, find and fetch Azure container. That's it. Let's build this project and deploy this project. And as you can see, currently my storage account does not have any container available. So first I will create the container. It is opening up the Business Central. Okay, so here is our page. So before we should put something into the Azure container and then fetch something from the Azure container, I need to create the Azure container. So I'll click here. Container is created successfully. Okay, so if you see here and if I refresh, you can find one container is available. But if I open this, okay, I'm getting something. Yes, I want to run it. Let me go back again. Storage accounts. This is my storage account and this is my container. Okay, let's put something into your container. So I'll click here. Now it is asking me to upload the file into the container. So I'll click on choose. Let me select this one PPT here. Click on open and see, we are getting the message that files are successfully uploaded in the container. Okay, let me put one more file here. So I'll click again and I'll select one txt file here. So click on open and files are successfully uploaded in the container. Okay, so if you want to see in the portal, open that container. I don't know, I'm getting some sort of mess errors in my Azure portal. There is something wrong here. Okay, maybe some permission issues or something, I don't know. I have to diagnose it. But anyway, uh, our code is running fine. Okay, and now let's fetch the values. First, we will fetch the values. First, fetch the files from the blob, and then we will delete the blob. Okay, so let me click here and see. The first message it prints is that BC upgrade questions. This is the first file which I uploaded into my Azure container, right? I uploaded that same file and that's why it is printing that message. And as you can see, it also downloaded that file into my local file system from the Azure container, right? So it not only finds the list of files which are available into your container, but also downloaded that into your local file system. Let's click on OK. First is files are successfully downloaded from the container, right? Because we wanted to fetch the blob from the container. Now, second will be files are successfully deleted from the container, right? Because we are deleting the container, we are deleting the blobs from the container also. So that's it. Now, there will be no first file which is BC upgrade questions PPT is available into my container. Okay, so that is what these function actually does, what these ABS blob client code unit does, that it helps us to putting the files into the container, exporting the files from the container, and deleting the files into the from the container. Okay, so in this way we can uh, play with the files which are available into in our local file system to store it into the Azure storage accounts. Okay, so with this, I'm gonna ending my file management series here, and next week we will pick some more nice informations about some new topic. I've not decided it yet. Yet let's see. Okay, so meanwhile, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, I request you to please hit the like button and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.